Well, really, I've got to take you back a lot further than you think. I've got to take you back to 1895. In 1895, my grandfather, he set up the company J.W. Foster because he invented the spike running shoe. He got the idea from his grandfather. His grandfather was a cobbler, and his grandfather used to repair not only street shoes, but cricket boots. And cricket boots had spikes in. My grandfather was a member of his local athletic club and thought, if I can put spikes in the bottom of my shoes, would that improve my performance? And yes, of course it did. He was only 15, but he started off in Bolton, 15 years old, made a spike running shoe. And of course, it improved his performance. But, his teammates, his sort of fellow clubmates sort of looked at him and thought, is this guy cheating? What's these shoes he's got on? Well, really, it was the beginning of his business because everybody wanted his shoes. So by 1900, he actually had a business, and he was making running shoes for all the local athletes, not just in Bolton, within 50 miles and maybe 100 miles radius. Excuse me. By 1904, he actually had a world record in his shoes, and that world record was made. Well, 3 world records, all made at one event. It was a 1-hour event in Glasgow at Ibrox Stadium, and he broke 3 world records. I don't remember them off the top of my head, but he also ran the furthest distance somebody had ever run in 1 hour. So that was grandfather, and that was 1900. In 1906, I think it was, or 1908, probably, the London Olympics, he had Olympic gold medals in his shoes, which is brilliant. Second decade, of course, of the 20th century, we had World War I. And that took the J.W. Foster Company away from making shoes and into repairing army boots. Okay, they had to repair army boots. And my father, who was a youngster, he was born in 1906, 1914, maybe. He was probably 8, something like that. And he was scrubbing these boots, scrubbing all the mud of Flanders off the boots. And his story was it was a bit exaggerated, I don't know, but he said it was more red than brown from the trenches in Flanders. Okay, so by 1920, war over, back to making running shoes again. And we have a letterhead from the 1920s. And on that letterhead, it actually says that he made all the running shoes for all the Olympians in the 1920 Antwerp Olympic Games. We must remember, when he's talking about all the athletes, in those days, the Olympic Games was just track and field. So he got a great business. And if you've heard of the film Chariot of Fire, he made shoes for those athletes who were immortalized. That was Eric Liddell, Lord Burleigh, and Harold Abrahams. They all won gold medals in the 20s. And as I say, Chariots of Fire immortalized them. But my grandfather used to die in 1933. Which, quite young, he was only 53. And I wasn't born until 1935. 1935, but I was born on his birthday, 15 months after he died. So my grandmother, of course, she was saying, he's brought his name with him. He's got to be Joe Foster. So I was Joe Foster also, just like my grandfather. 4 years after being born, we have World War II. Okay, I'm only 4. I don't remember that much about it, but I do remember the air raid sirens, watching, because in Bolton we were just slightly higher than Manchester. So we could see all the sky lit up with the flames from bombs being dropped on Manchester. And yes, what's different when you're young, you're only young, that's normal. Well, a war is obviously normal to us in those days. Anyway, 1945 arrives, I'm 10 years old. We get back to education. We didn't have too much education during the war. We went back to education, and I eventually went to college, finished college, and joined the J.W. Foster Company when I was 17. I joined at 17, but at 18, I had to do national service, because in those days, we had to do compulsory 2 years national service. And my brother, although being 2 years older than me, we both went to do national service at the same time. My brother went to Germany, and he saw Adidas and Puma. He saw their shoes, what they were doing. And when we came back after 2 years, we were a bit sort of tougher, learned a lot more. So when we came back, we looked at a company that's failing. J.W. Foster and Sons, as it was called at the time. J.W. Foster and Sons, that company was failing badly. We tried our best to get my father and uncle, who had taken over the company, we tried our best to get them to change, to improve things. However, just like Adi Dassler and his brother Rudy, they fought. They used to fight each other, but they separated. And Rudy Dassler set up Puma. So he set up Puma, and so we had Adi Dassler with Adidas and Puma. But the Foster family didn't do that. My uncle and father just continued fighting as long as they could do, which was not good for the company. So in 1958, Jeff and myself, we decided, we're not going to change this company. And all my father could say is that, look, when your uncle's gone and I'm gone, this company will be yours. Because I said, number one, we don't want you to go. That's not what we're looking at. That's not part of the plan. We don't want you to go. But this company will have gone long before you. This company will be dead. So nothing changed. So what did change is Jeff and I had to leave the company. And we did. We left. We set up our own company, Mercury Sports Footwear. We can talk about Mercury Sports Footwear, but 18 months later, we changed our name to Reebok. And that in itself is a story. But why did we leave? Well, obviously we left because there was no future. So you asked what motivated us. I think what motivated us was the need to do something, because the Fosters, they were stuck. They were stuck in history. And maybe 2 world wars, who knows? But they just could not bring themselves to work together and to take the company forward. They were something. So that's what prompted us the need to do something ourselves and to create a company. So we left in 1958. Well, no one ever. They weren't talking to each other. And I think it's about 18 months after we left, as we predicted, the company, well, my uncle, he died. And that part of his business, that sort of died with him. And my father, I don't think he wanted to carry on after that. So the business, the J.W. Foster business as such, just folded. And in fact, a little later on, we actually bought the business. We actually bought the company and brought it into Reebok. But no, we never felt that. Excuse me. We were young. We were indestructible. And we were full of the idea that we can do this. We can build a company and we can earn a living. So in those early days, it was just like earning a living. And we never felt we wanted to go back. In fact, as I said, the Foster company folded, went out of business only 18 months after we left. So there was probably no opportunity to go back, even if we wanted to. Funny enough that with COVID, a lot of people have been working from home, and a lot of people have got the idea they'd like to work for themselves. And that's what an entrepreneur does. So if they've got a thought, if they've got an idea of what they want to do, I think they should just go ahead, give it a try. Don't ask too many questions. Just give it a try. Because the one thing is that if you don't, you'll regret it the rest of your life. If you don't, take the step, take the risk. And if you love what you're doing, if you're really into it, you've got passion, then okay, 90% of the time you'll win. Right? On occasions, you fail. But, failure shouldn't be seen as that's the end. No, failure should be seen as a lesson. Where did we go wrong? How did we go wrong? But that lesson, it's there, and you can start again. So I think if you want to be an entrepreneur, be prepared for the fact that things might be perfect. But if you're really wanting to do it yourself, you'll find you can actually move and change and do the things that it's your decision. So you do it. And I would always say to somebody, give it a try, do it, because if you don't, I say you'll regret it. When I wrote the book, it was just the fact that I'd been watching Wikipedia and Google, and Wikipedia were telling me that this is how Reebok started. And there was a photograph of Joe Foster, the founder of Reebok, and I'm looking and saying, who's that? No, I don't know who that is. So I wrote the book because I wanted to get the story straight. So that was my story. And now what I'm finding is that people are saying, wow, that's fantastic. This happened. This happened. And so I think when people read the book, they'll find a lot of things that if they've started a business or want to start a business, they'll find the challenges of that. Be prepared for those challenges. So what people will find, we were only 18 months into our new business. We were called Mercury Sports Footwear. When we tried to register the name and we couldn't because somebody else has already registered it. So, okay, well, what do? We went to see a patent agent, and the agent said, okay, I'll see if we can get registered your name. We couldn't because British Shoe Corporation already got registered. And they offered us that name for £1,000. Well, we just set up the whole factory for £250. So we didn't have £1,000. We had to change our name. And I mean, the agent said, don't bring me one name, I need 10 names. And I'm saying 10. How do you think up 10 names? And it's got to be your company. How do you do that? So we were thinking, Falcon, that's a good name. Cougar, that's a good name. Then let me take you back to the war years, 1943. I'm 8 years old. And like COVID, we couldn't go anywhere. We just had to stay at home. And that's all we could do. But there were lots of events going on at home. And I actually won a 60-yard race. Oh, great. A bit of an advantage. I was wearing Foster spikes. And that was good. But I went up to collect my prize. And what did they give me? My prize was a dictionary. A dictionary. I'm saying, come on, guys, where's the football? I'm 8 years old. What do I need with a dictionary? And to cap that one, it was an American dictionary, a Webster's American dictionary. And we all know the American spelling on one or two things are different than, say, the Oxford English Dictionary. We know of colour with a U in it. In this dictionary, there's no U in that. It's just C-O-L-R. And so a lot of words like that. But now we fast forward to 1960, we're thinking of new names. My dictionary sat there next to me. And so I like the letter R. And I open my dictionary, my American Webster's dictionary, and I open it at R, and I start thumbing through. And I soon come across R-B-O-K, Reebok. What's that? So I read it, and it's a small South African gazelle. Gazelle, we're a running company. Gazelle, perfect. That went top of the list. I went back to my agent, and I gave him the list and said, look, we need this one. We need Reebok, because we've got to be in love with this. It's got to be our passion. And this is when you start in a company, you don't want a name that you don't like. You need to name it with something that you have that feeling for. So the agent said, okay, we'll try it. He went through all 10 names, and when he came back to me, he said the only name that really came out totally clear was Reebok. Brilliant. But the registrar had said, look, this is fine, but if somebody starts making shoes out of Reebok skin, we can't stop them. Well, Jeff and I thought, who on earth would make shoes out of Reebok skin? So we just discounted that and said, wow, that'll never happen. So we took Reebok. The only thing that the registrar had sort of said, because of this thought of being an animal, is we can only put you in the B section of the register. And why is that? Well, because somebody may sort of make shoes out of Reebok skin. Oh, right. So, but 20 years later, the registrar came back and he said, we've moved you to the A section of the register. Fantastic. He said, now people know that Reebok is a shoe. It is no longer considered to be an animal, or at least the animal is now second in whatever people would think. So, when you started off, okay, we went through difficulties. 4 years into our business, and Adidas sent us a letter because our silhouette was 2 stripes and a T-bar. And they said that our 2 stripes and T-bar infringed the Adidas 3 stripes. And we looked and we thought, 5 minutes later, we were saying, wow, Adidas over here. already. Yeah, that's great. Pin that letter on the wall. And we did. We pinned it on the wall, and we changed our silhouette to what we know presently now, which is a vector, which is like an arrow. And we got the idea from Speedbird, which was on the tail of British Airways. In those days, they had this Speedbird on. So that's where we got our idea. But those are things that people, you could say, wow, what bad luck you couldn't register your name. What bad luck you got, Adidas coming on. But no, they gave us opportunities. And the opportunity was to change our name to something we think was better. And same with the silhouette. We ended up with a better silhouette. So, if you start in a company, you will face problems. If you don't, I don't know how that would happen, because in this life, things are never a straight road. Things come along and you get these odd things that you've got to get over. So be prepared for that. But you'll probably come out again, like we did, with a better company. Piece of advice for my younger self. Well, I think the only advice now I could start with is technology, because that's driving a lot of industry now. Just make sure you're into technology and you know everything about it. Same, whatever business you want to go into, just know a lot about it, know everything about it, in order to be a success. So to me, there was no technology when I was young. We didn't have this Zoom, we didn't have computers, we didn't have mobile phones, and we didn't have credit cards. So you have to be very optimistic. If you're going to do it, be an optimist, and don't take too much advice. If you've got the courage to do it, get on, make it happen, because as I say, you will regret. So for me, it would be technology. You've got to know the technology all the way. And today that's it, technology. It's driving industry, and it's driving entrepreneurs right now.